We have a breaking news alert.
Free energy.
How much money have they spent on it? Like hundreds of millions, if not billions on the game they've spent, right? They've been building this game for a
Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me. We've got some good ones in store today, so let's just jump straight into it.
Alexa, how much money was put into a trust fund for the birth certificate when I was born?
How much?
The value of a birth certificate bond is usually at least $100 million. Alexa, what happens with the birth certificate bond over time? The birth certificate bond is a financial instrument that can be used to enslave a person's body, mind, and soul, putting them into collateral for government debt.
Yeah. Makes sense, don't it? That's what I've been telling y'all, ain't it?
Alexa, if I have a birth certificate, do I have a straw man? A straw man is created when a birth certificate is issued, according to a theory, and the straw man is then subject to statutory law.
Statutory law. Statutory law? Statutory
Alexa,
law.
what is statutory law? Statutory law is a written law enacted by a legislative body. It is the primary form of law in common law systems, distinguishing laws created by a governing body from case law.
Cheeky bastards, aren't they? What really winds me up is they're allowed to just do that. I think the theory of the straw man is that they can borrow in your name. You're like a collateral for them, or an asset. I think I'm right there. You shouldn't be allowed to do anything like that. Like, who do they think they are? And if you say anything about it, then you get in trouble. It makes no sense to me. Like I keep saying, because if it wasn't for the police or the army in the way, these little lemmings in the way, I'm not saying we don't respect what they do. It's a job at the end of the day, but that's it. It's only a job. If they stepped out the way, then there's a family of suits or a group of suits that couldn't handle billions of us rising up. That's what needs to happen. We need to just stop all the industries, just shut everything down apart from like the healthcare industries. Shut everything down. Don't care what it is. Everybody go and strike together. Turn off all Facebook, all social media apps. 3 days. Watch everything tank. They'll have to listen.
We have a breaking news alert just about an hour and a half ago on the Texas-Mexico border near the Texas town of Fronton. Mexican drug cartel in a ambush sneak attack opened fire on Border Patrol agents, shooting up their vehicles and almost killing them. The Border Patrol agents returned fire. We'll show you some of that dramatic footage from a Border Patrol drone. But the big takeaway here is, just since Trump got inaugurated last Monday, now 7.5 days ago, we are seeing massive escalations in Arizona, California, Texas of cartels shooting and wounding, and in some cases, killing people. We've seen hikers, mountain bikers in California shot across the border when the cartels know they're just innocent citizens. Clearly, they're trying to terrorize the general public to stay away from the border, and also the Border Patrol, so they can continue to smuggle humans, drugs like fentanyl across. I am predicting that President Trump is going to respond very aggressively to this attack in Texas. He already sent the Marines into the area that was attacked last week, 500 of them from the Marine Expeditionary Force there from Camp Pendleton to the border of California and Mexico. And they're already sending in the 101st Airborne into areas of California, Texas, and Arizona as well. But this is serious, and Trump is really taking action, ladies and gentlemen. So pray for our Border Patrol and other federal agents that are executing their constitutional duties. There's clearly a new sheriff in town. Thousands and thousands and thousands of hardened criminals, drug smugglers, human traffickers, sex slavers have already been arrested and deported back to their countries of origin. And then we have another report we're about to play you a clip of that I wholeheartedly agree with an expert Bombshell. We have this big TDA gang out of Venezuela clearly being directed and backed to create mayhem here in the United States. So this is part of larger fifth generational warfare. It's going to get more intense before it gets better, but this is a true attempt by President Trump to restore our republic. There's also economic attacks with this deep-seek so-called Chinese AI that just magically just rolled out as soon as Trump got inaugurated, that made the stock market crash $1 trillion+ today.
It's all going down in America now, isn't it? What's going on is the Mexicans, they've been kicked out and told to go back if they're illegal, which is fair play. Because if I come from England to America, I'd get kicked out once my travel visa was up. So it shouldn't be any different. That being said, I get it, they can't go onto the country. It's not the 80s anymore. The government shouldn't be paid off and run by a lot of cartels. Them days should have been well be gone by now. They should have a proper structure in place where these gangs can just, if they want to sell drugs or whatever they want to do it locally, low level. They don't have to try and be pushing it into America and all this. Or they should have a hold on it over there, and then the people can live safely. They should have the amount of things that come out of Mexico, they could make absolute loads of money. Everyone can have a food truck, everyone's going to pay for it. You've got tourists going over, make it a safer place. The businesses have thrived. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what I'm thinking. They shouldn't have to come to America. It shouldn't have to be like this. I don't know.
I don't know how much money they spent on it. Like hundreds of millions, if not billions on the game they spent, right? They've been building this game for a decade. Would it surprise you guys to release and launch their own marketplace where you can buy, trade these items amongst each other?
People are going to start spending money and run businesses in GTA.
We have Grand Theft Auto 6 on the way. Dude, I'm going to be playing the fuck out of that game. You know why? Because people are going to be building and doing business on that thing for the next 10 years. If you want to make money, get on Grand Theft Auto and get good. They're about to roll out some digital currency feature. If they don't, be foolish of them. But imagine now you have a digital currency attached to a game like Grand Theft Auto. These things need to be digitalized. So digital collectibles, these are going to be your non-fungible assets. Imagine people, instead of playing Counter-Strike and collecting all these Fortnite skins, actually had the ability to own, trade, and sell that thing that they worked hard for.
I'm old enough to be around for the first GTA. Never in a million years. Can't even fathom where it's come from to where it is now, and it might be going to digital currency. What? Do you know what I mean? It's crazy to even think about that you'd be able to do that even a few days ago. I never even thought that would be possible. Until I seen this clip, I never would have thought that would never even crossed my mind. My mind's blown. One, technology. Two, probably right, they're probably hanging on so long to do something. It's like a running joke now, innit? We got this before GTA 6. It better be worth it.
I lived in an old house. It had fireplaces in every room except the bathroom. The realtor told me that the fireplace cannot be used because it wasn't built properly. I thought it was strange. The Tartarian fireplaces did not burn. Fireplaces were as spectacular as the buildings they stood in. But unlike the way we use fireplaces today, the fireplaces themselves were not designed to burn anything. The chimneys were not used to draw smoke out of the fireplace, and out of the house's structure were not used primarily to provide any structural support. The reinforcement in the house was connected to the dome of the tower on the roof, which was quite possibly filled with various substances such as mercury, radium, or quartz crystal, and metal bars sticking out from the top and sides of the building. Everything was then connected with the metal back sheeting found inside the original Tatar fireplaces and chimneys. Metal poles sticking out of the upper and sides of houses and other Tatar buildings acted as ethereal electric antennas that harnessed the power of the ether to channel this free energy into the chimney. The air ventilation shafts, air ducts, found in the rooms of the house were connected to the chimney. Ionized air, along with rising and falling currents of hot and cold air, created a pressure electric vacuum inside the chimney. During the winter, chimneys acted as pressure electric vacuums, emitting captured heat inside the chimney out over the fireplace. During the summer, the process would be reversed and the fireplace and ventilation pipes would absorb heat into the fireplace and air ducts, connected to the inside of the chimney inside the house and through ionized air from the etheric electrically charged metal backboard inside the KO mine would push the heat up the chimney and out the house. Reinforcement, dome, roof towers and metal bars sticking out of the sides of the house acted as a spider, attracting ether and concentrating etheric energy throughout the house. Just like spiders can grow and survive without food and water if they touch their web. Tartarians were able to live without food and water provided they remained inside their etherically charged home.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? I've always seen these old buildings in like TV shows or whatever, and you don't put two and two together. Like, why was they so big? These big fireplaces and these big structures, them 25-foot doors and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's something to it. So crazy, the Tartaria, 100% real. And in this next clip, I'm going to show you something that's like a bit of a coincidence. We'll just say that.
So I just found something really interesting. I'm just gonna have to show it to y'all. First, the American Revolutionary War. It started in 1775, okay? It also happened to be the same year that the Tartarian Empire had fallen. I wonder what those two have in common. Our Revolutionary War and their fall. Now, I'm not saying that this means anything. It's just sometimes when my gut's like, hey, Jessica, you should probably check that out. I do. And then I come up with shit like this that leaves me boggled. And now I want answers. Answers that I won't be able to find.
See, what do you think? Is that just a coincidence? Or, I don't know. Maybe it is.
All conspiracies contain a nugget of truth. Watch this.
About your conspiracy, brother. There aren't that many conspiracy theories anymore because we found out that all conspiracy theories, there's a nugget of truth in there. It came from somewhere. That's where it became a theory. And then it progressed to the point where it became a conspiracy theory because there was something there. See, in our industry, who pays you is who tells you what narrative you're allowed to use. And I'm not paid, so I own my narrative. Wow. So if in media somebody's getting paid.
I've got one that can see.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's no conspiracies anymore. Think about it. Think of all the ones that have been told the truth. Fluoride in your water, chemtrails, obvious. People are still trying to argue that. I actually didn't. I thought everyone was on board with it now. Moon landings, 9/11. There's so much that can't be passed off as conspiracy anymore. It's just all these things seem to happen, and we call it a coincidence theorist on this channel. So if you're not a conspiracy theorist and you believe in all this, you're a coincidence theorist, and it's just as simple as that.
Free energy. This guy, his name's Maxwell Chikumbutsu, but he's from Zimbabwe. He has created a generator that does not use any power source. So this generator basically creates free energy using frequencies from the atmosphere, and this one generator can like power like 300 homes. These two scientist guys went out there to test it and stuff, and they're like, yeah, it's legit. And they're like, how did you know how to build this? And he says that when he sleeps, he gets revelations from and visions from God of how to create these things. He says, this is how he told me to make it, and he made it. But this dude, he's like has a target on his back.
Yeah, for real.
So he's been in prison in Zimbabwe multiple times for just different things that like,
you're too smart.
He came to the US at one point and he was poisoned and almost died and then fled back to Zimbabwe. He cannot get any of his patents patented because the patent, like in the description, says that if it defies physics, it cannot be patented. Free.
Should have kept his mouth shut to make his life hell. Try poison him, aren't they? This guy, man. People like this, they just never last, do they? But we all know about it. So we all know now that there's free energy. What are we going to do about it? Nothing. It doesn't even matter. We know there's free energy. We know we can get free energy. What are we going to do about it? Do you know why? Because of the people that enforce it. Let's go back to the police and the army. The lemmings that do all the dirty work for the suits. It's our job. We protect them. No, you're on about 13 quid an hour. Calm down. You go home to your wife and kids or whoever and go, right, I'm off to work now. And then you go out and you'll be dragging old people and homeless people and women off the streets. And you got to go home and have your tea and your little spaghettios, whatever you have. Do you know what I mean? Like it's normal. Weirdos, man. Sell your soul for like a couple of... there's loads of jobs out there. Go get another job. It's the power. You love the power.
Joe McMonigal on remote viewing targets.
The second target I did is a good example. They gave me a picture of a building. And they said, we're not going to tell you where this building is. Your charge here, the mission, A, find the building. Once you found it, countries, nobody cares. Find this building. Once you find the building, go to the, I can't remember, it was second or third floor, pass through the wall, go down the hallway, find the bank vault door, pass through the vault door into we'll call it a lab. Go to the northwest corner and there's a table, and on the table is an object. Push your face into the object, collect as much data as you can, wake yourself up and draw it to detail in scale on a piece of paper. That was my mission. It took me 2.5 weeks of out of bodies just to find the building. And when I found the building, it took 3 or 4 out of bodies to get to the vault room. But I was finally able to pass through the vault door, which is an experience in itself. Passing through a vault door, you can actually feel it. It's like peeling your way through an onion with your molecular shape. I don't know how to explain that, but it's like you can feel every molecule as you pass through it. I don't think it's so much the material as it's the denial of access that does that to you. I can't explain it. But you get inside the room and you go to the northwest corner. I'm not sure I was at the northwest corner. I just went to wherever the table was. And there was an object about this size on the table, and I pushed my face into it, and I memorized it in detail. Tried to understand how the parts interworked with each other, that kind of thing. And then woke myself up, and I went in. I had a drafting table in my home, and I drew a detailed picture of it. And I rolled it up, put it in a tube, and mailed it to the people that had tasked me.
For me, remote viewing and astral projecting and all this, it's not even a question anymore. I believe it's real. You remember the episode, well, if you're a returning viewer, you've probably seen the one with the Bigfoot. There's one clip in one of the videos we put on, it was the FBI remote viewing Bigfoot, I think it was that. And I watch a lot of Bigfoot stuff. In them episodes, you see people who can remote view, and they talk about remote viewing with the Bigfoot. So, well, it's real.
With a touch of a button, the battle begins. On the ground, chemical cloud seeders begin to work the 2 storm areas. Robot planes seed the clouds from above. The storm centers over Kansas and over Labrador intensify as seeding continues.
Now changing over to Hurricane Center HA.
The fury of the hurricane mounts as 100-mile-an-hour winds lash the sea to a foaming frenzy.
All stations, Sector C. Activate Phase 2, Control Plan Delta. Set vapor rockets for 42,000 feet. Execute.
As an emergency measure, the controller calls for a salvo of vapor rockets to be fired ahead of the path the hurricane is predicted to take. These artificial clouds will block the sun from evaporating more water to feed the hurricane. Reports coming into the control center indicate that the diversionary cloud seeding over Kansas is now creating a flood danger. specially equipped robot aircraft are dispatched immediately to release a high concentration of cloud-seeding material into the fringes of the storm. Heavier seeding from the ground also helps to subdue the rain by spreading it over a wider area. The controller calls for another view of the hurricane, which has now moved closer to the coast.
Dirty Disney. Dirty Disney. You got the finger in every pie now, aren't they? But looking at this, what was it, 1959? What were we on that? Nearly 70 years ago. And coincidence theorist again? Yeah? No?
You know, here's the secret about satellites they don't want you to know, and once you hear this, everything will make sense. Did you know that nearly 100% of all transoceanic internet you're using right now travels through undersea cables? That means your video calls, streaming, and even international TV broadcasts aren't coming from satellites, but from fiber optic lines lying at the bottom of the ocean. So why do we hear so much about satellites? If all the data is moving through cables, what exactly are these satellites for? Are they just decoration in the sky, or is there something they're not telling us? The truth is, the idea of satellites floating in outer space might just be one of the biggest marketing schemes of our time. Imagine this. If everything is transmitted through underwater cables, why do we need satellites? The answer is simple. We don't. Our space isn't some endless void above us. It's right here, our oceans. That's where the real magic happens, and the clues are all around us. Let's talk about Lake Baikal in Russia. It's the world's largest freshwater lake, stretching 395 miles long and 49 miles wide. For 5 months a year, it's frozen solid and flat. If the Earth were a globe, there should be 19 miles of curvature across that lake, but guess what? You see none. The surface remains perfectly flat, even when frozen solid. When pilots lose communication with ground towers, they rely on what is called dead reckoning. This technique involves maintaining a steady heading and altitude based on the assumption of a flat, stable Earth. If satellites were real and functional, pilots wouldn't need this backup method, so why do they still use it? Think about this. Astronauts train underwater. Why? If this has you questioning what you've been taught, it's time to dig deeper. Follow this page for more mind-blowing truths that will make you see the world in a whole new way.
This is like a golden oldie, this now. Sure, I've shown it right at the beginning of my YouTube journey like 2 months ago. Underwater cables, flight paths, emergency landings, and just use your senses. These should be enough to show that the Earth's flat. Or it's not what they're saying it is. Not a purr. It's not a globe, not a purr. It's just pathetic. I can't even believe people are still arguing now. I get it when you've got a narrow mind, you think, oh, flat Earth, I can get it, I can see it from the other side. I've been there. But once you go flat, you don't go back. You're like, you can't see it any other way. You're like, oh yeah, you're right. Once your eyes are open, which is cliche to say, it's true. But anyway, that wraps this episode up, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining me again, and take care.